A castle, a curse, and a drive for glory will send you all on the fairy tale adventure of a lifetime. Slay the Beast. How's it going? No Fun Allowed here, and today I want to talk about my upcoming adventure that I'm both writing and running for all of you, Slay the Beast. Slay the Beast, if you couldn't tell, is a riff on the Beauty and the Beast story, but instead you guys are the good guys, and you are going into this castle filled with all sorts of magical monstrosities and mishaps and traps and whatever else, and plundering it for all of its gold, earning glory, and perhaps maybe even stopping a curse or two. It's been an absolute blast to write for this adventure. I am just absolutely enamored with fairy tale stuff. I've been just on a complete binge of writing and watching and consuming fairy tale, material all over the place. And that is why I'm creating a fairy tale themed TTRPG. I'm creating a whole host of fairy tale adventures. And I am creating this big old mega dungeon adventure, Slay the Beast. And it's just it's exactly what I want out of a fairy tale adventure. So what makes this adventure special? Well, it is a classic mega dungeon style adventure where you've got a beautiful dungeon filled with hundreds of rooms to explore, many awesome places, many different themes, many different NPCs, many different things that make the dungeon incredibly unique. But the thing is while I feel mega dungeons can be absolutely fantastic, there's the whole other issue with mega dungeon play, and that is you need to have a lively place to return to. You need to have a town that truly feels magical. You need to have a town that you are happy to go back to, you're happy to stay in, and have a whole bunch of people to interact with. And so with this adventure, I have the town of Bellfleur, a quaint little town. It's a quiet village, and every day is not quite like the day before because this town is evolving. As your players explore the town, they get to learn new places in this town. They get to meet new peoples. And also, very importantly, is as you are collecting gold from the dungeon and bringing it back to town, over the course of time, that's going to be bringing more and more people to town, and the town is going to get livelier and livelier. So that's the adventure right there. You're in town, you explore the mega dungeon, have a fun time, come back, have a fun time in town, repeat process. So what I'm here to tell you all about today is the adventures I'm going to be running for it. I'm going to be running two different versions of this adventure. One of them will be using Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and one of them will be using my own tabletop role-playing system titled Make Believe. So for the 5th edition version I'm going to be running here, we're using 2014 D&D rules because not everyone's caught up to the new rules. Some people don't like the newish rules. A lot of people know the 2014 rules, so we're just running it as is there. But the thing is with this adventure, we are going to be using my subclasses. So I am putting a kibosh. You cannot come in with other subclasses from various locations. You do have to use one of my subclasses, but you are spoiled for choice. There is 80 subclasses in total amongst all the various classes that you get to pick from. All of these subclasses are steeped in either fairy tale motifs or, classical fantasy stuff here. So looking at the Bard, for example, we've got the College of Tragic Romance. Fun time right there, right? For the Cleric, we've got the Beauty Domain. That's a little bit on the nose for this adventure, right? For Druid, we have Circle of the Hearth. This is a witchy subclass, which I love witches. Stay tuned a little bit later. I'm going to be showing off some witch content as well. For the Fighter, we've got Musketeer. Come on. Musketeer, we're in a little French area. Come on. It just fits. It just fits. For the Warlock, we have the Mourning Bride. That one's just oozing with flavor. Absolutely love it. And so many more. Once again, if you haven't seen them already, join the Discord. You can see and read all about them. Whole bunch of good stuff there. So that's version 1. Going to be using 5e. Going to be using my own subclasses to fit in with my own adventure. Great time there. Now, the second version of Slay the Beast I'm going to be running is using my own tabletop role-playing system, Make Believe. So Make Believe is my fairy tale themed TTRPG, and the best way to describe it would be a cross between 1st edition and 5th edition D&D. It's somewhere in the middle, not like as in 3rd edition, but it's a bridge between the two. It's not the absolute extremes of 5e, and it's not the extremes of 1st edition either. it's a solid balance. One of the major things that makes Make Believe in particular special is the alignment system. Alignment has gone the way of the dodo in most modern TTRPGs because people don't want to run it a certain way, or people use it to evil extremes to make the game more annoying. In Make Believe, however, alignment is fluid. Your alignment changes over the course of your actions, and your character will gain abilities dependent on their alignment. If you are a good character, you get some type of power. If you're a wicked character, you get some other type of power. So you can have two people playing the same exact class, but depending on how they are, character-wise, you will see them play out a little bit differently. And that doubly goes for spellcasters, because spellcasters will have a certain amount of spells that are reflected of their alignment. Spellcasters, of course, have a whole host of spells that will always do the same exact thing, but there is some spells that are dependent on your alignment, so there is some variation there. But speaking of the classes, in Make Believe here, we've got 26 classes, and each one of the classes is incredibly distinctive. They stand out on their own. Not only for all the whole host of different martial classes, but the spellcasters as well. There's actually not too many traditional spellcasters in this game, but each one of the spellcasters does in fact operate fundamentally differently. They're all not the same Vancian style magic system where you get all your spell slots and can prepare them exactly the same way. Each one of them is wholly unique and different. So I'm incredibly proud of Make Believe. Oh my gosh, I'm working on a bunch of content. If you couldn't tell, I'm working on a bunch of written content. I'm writing these TTRPGs, I'm writing adventures, and my plan with all of this is that eventually, once I get it all in a good enough condition, then I'll start hopefully kickstarting everything, because as of right now, I'm just a solo developer with no artistic talent, so I've got no art. I don't have the greatest editing skills. I'm just purely writing it all and slapping it all up. And with this, I'm pushing myself forward to getting all of this up and ready. So with all that said, I'm going to be running those two different versions in my Discord. If you haven't already checked out the Discord, I'll be posting up all the game times there. I'll be trying to run as many sessions as possible when I've got all the free time I got. It's public to join, it's free to play, and I just want to run games for people because running games is honestly the blood of our hobby, isn't it? It's sad because I know for a fact that a lot of people don't get to play a lot of games, and I feel like West Marches is just a fantastic way to get in some games. You don't have to show up regularly, you don't have to be fully committed. If you got free time, then hop in, join a shared universe, make some new friends, and most importantly, have fun. I'll be making posts about the games and showing off all the great things that the players do and showing off all the content that I'm writing and all that. I'm going to be showing it all off, and I want you all to join me and get to play games. I keep repeating this over and over, but it's so great to run games for everybody. It really is. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. Thank you for joining the Discord. Thank you for talking about the games. Thank you for all of that. But that's going to do it for me, and I cannot wait to see you all in the next one. Alright, so this is for all the cool people who stick around and watch the whole video here. So one thing I really like to do for my West Marches games is I like to incorporate evolving mechanics in regards of the more you explore, the more things you do, the more you go out and do things, you unlock stuff. For my previous West Marches that I ran, which is on hiatus, I'm going to get back to it eventually. But over the course of that game, classes were unlocked, spells were unlocked, features were unlocked, etc., etc. And this time is not going to be any different. So one thing, as I mentioned earlier, in addition to being obsessed with fairy tale content, I'm also incredibly obsessed with witch content. I don't know what it is. I don't know what sparked this witch curiosity in my heart, but I am just absolutely enamored with all things witches. And that is reflecting in some of the content I'm creating. I'm creating a whole bunch of adventures involving witches. I'm creating a whole bunch of supplements involving you becoming a witch, etc., etc. And yeah, there's going to be a whole bunch of witch stuff involved in this adventure, if the players go in that right direction. Witch content is coming. I'm going to be making a whole bunch of stuff about that. One thing I actually really want to do is, I've noticed a whole bunch of other YouTubers have been doing this thing where they get together a whole bunch of other content creators to create a whole bunch of content a week. We've seen Kraken Week, Dragon Week, Slime Week. And one thing I want to do is I want to create a Witch Week. So hopefully maybe in October I can try and convince a whole bunch of people to do that. That'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, check out the Discord. I'm going to be running games starting pretty much right after this upload. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff there. And I'm going to be trying to run at least 2 games a week, one of each, if hopefully more. Hopefully I can get a whole bunch of games in. We'll see what my schedule is like, because unfortunately life keeps getting in the way of my fun time. Maybe that's what maybe got me into the witch content. I adopted a black cat recently. Maybe that was kind of the genesis of that all. Binks, say hi. Say hi, Binks. There you go. Good old Thackeray Binks here. Yeah, so I saved this cat, and, you know, it was a little kitten. It was a month old, and lo and behold, a little while later, now it's mine forever, I guess. Just how it goes sometimes. All right, thank you so much for watching, and do all that great stuff.